I'm going to give you a quick overview about my educational experience here in Italy, but not only in Turin. So, as you can see from this image here, we have plenty of architecture schools of architecture in Italy, 16 here, well spread all over the territory. This is the Politecnico of Torino, where I belong.
Valerio, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but it seems now that your screen is not shared with us.
Let me double check this. I'll try this again. So, what about now?
We don't see full screen, but we see the software and we also see the ribbon on top. Now it's full screen. Thank you.
Okay, sorry for the problem. I was showing the several schools of architecture we have here in Italy, 16, 17 are offering a combined degree course in architecture and building engineering, 17 in this case. We also have 8 schools of architecture in architectural science. So a lot of universities. So the topic, the goal of my presentation here is not to give you an extensive overview of daylighting in Italy. This is too big. So I'm going to refer to this project, which is DAIKI Europe, Daylighting Knowledge in Europe. So that was the first project. DAIKI Italy is a spin-off of this project. We are going to talk in more detail and present DAIKI later on this afternoon with Federica Giuliani. In this case, I'm focusing on the partnership, the network, 5 universities, my own Politecnico, Venice, Northern Italy, Naples, Central Italy, Palermo, and Catania in Southern Italy. The basic schema I'd like to share is that daylighting is typically taught at a bachelor level during the bachelor curriculum, but there is no dedicated courses on daylighting. So daylighting is taught along with electric lighting in a building physics course, which is a multi-domain course. And basically at that level, bachelor curriculum, what is taught is the average daylight factor and this metric called RAI, which corresponds to the window to floor ratio, the so-called 1/8 criterion, because the surface of the window area must be at least 1/8 of the floor area. I'm going to discuss about this later on. At the Master Science curricula, we offer several. One is particularly dedicated, in our case in Politecnico, on a sustainable project, but in that case, daylighting is again integrated with other aspects of building physics, acoustics, thermal aspects. But the good thing is that typically it is applied to design studios, so it is applied to projects. Rarely, only a few number of courses are specifically conceived on daylighting. In our case in Politecnico, this is coupled with acoustics, so we don't have, like in Lund, a dedicated, fully extensive course on daylighting and electric lighting. At master science level, we teach again the average daylight factor, because that's the standard, the window to floor ratio, the climate-based lighting modeling approach, the Lane index, so the energy-related issues for the energy certification process, and also to some extent we give some hints on circadian lighting as well. So this advanced climate-based approach, the Lane and the melanopic metrics are typically taught in post-degree schools courses, or maybe in some other courses offered by professional orders. I myself have a course for the professional order of the architects in Turin. So focusing on Politecnico, these are the courses I'm involved in, particularly these are my courses, so this is my own experience. Daylighting belongs to a course which is building physics, but you can see the course is 10 credits, lighting and daylighting only have 2 credits. The lines of share is played by thermal aspects, the thermal transmission, thermal dynamics, and this kind of stuff. And again, we have no time to do more than the average light factor and the window to floor ratio. We maybe also offer Walden diagram to have a graphical representation of the world and shading mask. During the master sciences curriculum, daylighting belongs to a design studio along with technology and design. But again, building physics addresses the energy certification of buildings. So acoustics, thermal, and lighting are all combined all together. And the thing is that here, 2 design studios out of 4 are offered in parallel, they do address this kind of topics, because other courses do not, because maybe they're held by an acoustical teacher, so they focus more on acoustic stuff, this kind of stuff. So just to summarize, we have at the bachelor level, these daylighting courses, well, building physics course actually, and 4 courses are offered in parallel, so all students are trained and educated on the reference metrics. At the master science level, during the curriculum, we have 4 studios in parallel, but 2 out of 4 actually address advanced, basic and advanced daylighting stuff, which means that we do not reach all the students. A typical conclusion scene I have to witness during the thesis defense session. Teacher, this is me. I see projects, very nice, so very nice projects, but your windows, they do look kind of small to me. How did you size those? And the answer from the student is, well, I clearly use the 1/8 criterion, which is a criterion for ventilation. So this is the final result of the curriculum. So some students gain their degree in architecture, sustainable architecture, without really knowing much about the lighting. The reason why we have this structure is that courses, of course, match pretty much well the Italian legislation. So the lighting in Italy is kind of complex, it's kind of a mess, because the Italian legislation focuses on the average daylight factor. That's the reference legislation metric. And beside, we have this window to floor ratio, which is a requirement for ventilation, used very much for lighting and the lighting as well. We do have some protocols. The Ithaca protocol is an Italian protocol, the energy code annex to the building code of Turin, or the LEED, but typically these are used for particular large scale projects. They are not used on a daily practice from building practitioners. European standards, they are used, but there's still quite of a debate, especially on the 17037 in Italy. And then I'm going to focus on a local case here in Turin between the municipality of Turin and the Polytechnic. Just to give you a hint, the window to floor ratio is very popular because it's very simple. You only have to combine together the window of the surface of the window and the floor of the window. What typically students and professionals do not mention is that the surface of the window is the surface of the window that can be open. Nobody ever mentions this part of the formula. It's a requirement for ventilation. On the other hand, the real standard reference for daylighting is the factor, which at least has surface and the glazing visible transmittance for the window, the whole room, again geometry and reflectance, so the photometric property of surfaces, and obstructions. There are some references. So we have in Italy a reference which are legislation laws for residential buildings, educational buildings, and healthcare buildings. We don't have a law dedicated on office buildings, which is really a problem. And offices are here, the delay factor 1%, same level of importance as staircases and restroom. This is a big issue here in Italy. So Ithaca protocol on the energy code, they still insist on the delay factor because that's the reference, legislation reference, but they increase, for instance, the code, local code we have here in Turin, offer points like the LEED, it's a credit-based score point, but enhance the lighting level over 3% to grant some points. So the 1% of offices is not accepted for points. The Ithaca protocol gives you penalty points if your daylighting level is lower than the 2-3% target. The LEED, it is used, I repeat, only for large scale projects. So it's not used on a regular basis, unfortunately. And the last but not least, this experience we had last year, the municipality of Turin was releasing the upgrade of the local energy annex code based on the daylight factor. But they told us that over the past previous 10 years, 2011, 2021, a minor share, very few projects were submitted addressing the daylight factor calculation because professionals reported it is too complex, we don't have data, this kind of stuff. A professional still rely very much on the right criterion, so the 1/8 criterion. So municipality gave us mandate to define a new index to bridge this gap in between The window to floor ratio, very simple, and the daylight factor, too complex. No comment on that. And so we came up with this very simply new index, which is, you can recognize here, still has the ratio between the glazing area and the floor area, like the window to floor ratio, but we also introduced the glazing visible transmittance and the calibrated function for obstructions. So to conclude, teaching the light in Italy, it's quite a complex mess. I mean, we don't have dedicated courses on daylighting and lighting. There's one in Politecnico di Milano, in Milan. Daylighting is typically strongly related to the average daylight factor and the window to floor ratio, because those are the standard reference values and metrics. So advanced daylighting, melanopic circadian lighting is taught in some specific isolated experiences and master science courses. And professionals do strongly rely on the 1/8 criterion. And so also the lead verifications are still quite limited to large projects. It is, to conclude, very welcome to have a platform to expand the possibilities of teaching daylighting to both students and professionals. That was it, guys. So I'm done with my presentation. I hope it was clear enough.